Seashell Eevee Festival. I'm sure everybody's having a good time, right?
Right.
Okay, great. So one of my things that I did with my e-tron was drive across the country, and I'll tell you a little story to start with. Is I'm just going online to find out information, and I come across, through Google, on Facebook, I see this gentleman, Buddy Boyd, in his Bolt, and I saw this big, huge sticker on the back of his car, and he was in Newfoundland at the time with his dog and his wife. Not sure which order that is. Anyway, so he came all the way from Seychelles all the way to Newfoundland, and I was doing a trip that was going to be similar. So he had this big Viva sticker, and I got a Viva T-shirt here. Vancouver Electric Vehicle Association, of course, the sister association is the Seychelles Sunshine Coast Electric Vehicle Association. There we go. Skiva. Okay. And so I signed up for Viva, and that was because I saw your sticker on your car.
Wow.
That's how I did it. Anyway,
Fast forward.
driving across the country 3 years ago was a challenge because there was not much infrastructure, and I had to plan the route. And the way I planned it was through Google Maps and through an app called PlugShare. PlugShare is an app that's free. Google Maps, of course, is free as well. And I knew my range of my car, and I had to make sure that I could make it from one charger to the next. And I was able to do it, except for going from Prince George to Jasper, and I had to take a little detour to go to Valemont, just south of the Yellowhead Pass between those 2 points. I had to there was a charger there, but I decided to go to the campground where I could plug my charger into an RV site. And I also needed to go to an RV site when I went to Newfoundland at just outside of Deer Lake on the way to an incredible national park. And if you've never been there, it's called Grossmore National Park. And basically going through Newfoundland, the infrastructure was only level 2 or slow charging. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that was then. And now there's high-speed chargers everywhere. And now there's no reason not to take a long-distance trip. I mean, I think you can mention Buddy. Let me introduce, this is Buddy Boyd. And Buddy, why don't you tell people what it was like for you to go across the country? You did it before me.
Well, thanks, Harvey, and thanks everybody for turning out to our festival here. Our specialty is long distance EV traveling. We did our trip to Newfoundland in 2017, and I think the last fast charger we plugged in was Revelstoke, and the next one was Toronto. So that meant we had to use slower overnight chargers all through the prairies and until we hit the East Coast. And then once we got out of Ontario, Quebec, back then in 2017, is probably the best infrastructure in Canada for fast charging. And they jumped on the bandwagon really early. Then British Columbia kind of followed their suit. So when we went across Canada, we could only drive the range we had in our car till the next charger. We'd camp or get a hotel and then charge overnight and then rinse and repeat until we made it to St. John's, Newfoundland. But one of the things we learned along the way is that our range anxiety, which is very common for folks with electric vehicles, is it started to dissipate because we found out once you start planning using PlugShare app, everybody can get it, it's a free app. It tells you where your next chargers are, and they're live in real time. So you check your map on PlugShare, and then it also has live comments. So if there's any issues with a charger, you could read it and then say, okay, maybe I'll wait till I get to the next charger. And it's a way to hopscotch along the way. It's a little inconvenient, but it's worth its weight in gold because it's really, for us, our range anxiety went into range confidence, especially now with so many chargers. So next year we're going to try to go up to Prudhoe Bay in Alaska because they're starting to build out fast chargers in the north. So we're hoping to do that next year. But one of the things that we really want to stress upon people that these are not commuter cars. These are awesome vehicles, works of technology, and take them out on the road. Take them on the logging roads, dirt roads. Like, use it like you would any other car. The only difference is you have to plan a little bit ahead. And doing that, we have to start realizing that unlike gas stations where we just go in, pump 3 minutes and we leave, we're using a public network of chargers that we're sharing cooperatively, right? So one of the things we urge folks to do is you go to a public charger, check in on the PlugShare app, let people know when you're coming back, so somebody else might need that charger. Don't go off and start watching a movie or shopping or going for a beer or whatever you do. When you plug your car in and leave, you got to leave some kind of notes, so because somebody else might need that charger. So that's why we're heavily involved in Eevee Etiquette, which plays a big role in how we go from point A to point B, wherever it is we're traveling. And lastly, on the side of our car, if you want to take a picture, Barb has, and that's our car with the blue canopy on it right here. Grab a couple of Eevee Etiquette signs that Barb can hand out. It's just a piece of paper, but it's really basic common sense. And we urge everybody to get in your electric vehicles and hit the road and just use a little bit of planning and let people know when you're coming back, when you are plugged into a charger. But that's it for long distance charging. Hit the highway, guys. It's a lot of fun, man.
I got a lot more for you.
One more for Harvey here. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, buddy. Give a hand to Buddy here. Okay, so 3 years ago, it was a challenge. And I don't know how much time I have, but I'm going to tell you a little story. I made it all the way to Clarenville. Did anybody know where Clarenville is in Newfoundland? It's just about 175 kilometers northwest of St. John's. And I just finished leaving Gander. Everybody knows Gander. And I got enough charge in my car. I spent an extra hour charging to make sure I make it to Gander. I got there with 25 kilometers left of my battery. There was 2 chargers according to PlugShare. And I get to the first charger right off the highway, right off the Trans-Canada Highway. And my GPS says I'm right where the charger's supposed to be, but it wasn't there. So the next option was going to this GM dealer, a Chevy dealer, and I plugged in the address of my GPS, takes me all over Clarenville, and I don't see it. It takes me to a Mazda dealer, and by the time I realize it, I'm getting really anxious. To talk about anxiety, I had a lot of anxiety. And I see this guy, I stopped this guy in a GM minivan, burgundy color, and I try to wave him down and he stops, and I say to him, do you know where the Chevy dealer is? And I wish I had a Newfie accent, but I don't. But I asked him, how far where is the GM dealer? And he says, oh, it's just only 4 kilometers away, phone me. Or follow me. And I looked at my battery and it only had 4 kilometers on my battery. So I'm doing everything I can to coast, to regen, to get more battery power, and just go as easy as I can. And then I come to this big hill. So I go up the hill and I see the Chevy dealer and I see the charger, and I coast in and I made it with 0 kilometers on my battery. Now that's range anxiety. But the real point I'm trying to make here is that I did another trip across the continent 3 years ago. And I got to tell you that the charging infrastructure now, if it's not 10 times better, it's 20 times better. Now I can make it all the way across. I don't have to go to any level 2 charging. I can do high-speed charging along the whole way. You can plan, but you don't have to plan as precisely as Buddy and I did. PlugShare, most of the cars now are equipped with a function that says, take me to the nearest charger, and it'll take you right there. With Tesla, they have supercharged network all over North America and Europe and around the world. There's many other charging stations from Electrify Canada, Electrify America. There's but my mind went blank here. Flow charging, Eevee Go, Eevee Route, Charge Point, and BC Hydro. The charging network is expanding and expanding and expanding. So there is really, what Buddy was saying, there is no excuse to have range anxiety. And the charging now is becoming much, much quicker. The BC Hydro chargers that you see right now, most of them give out a power of 50 kilowatts. And what does that mean? For most cars, it would take, my car anyway, it takes about an hour and a half to charge fully, from about 10% to full. Petro-Canada is also offering high-speed chargers, and their power, as well as Electrify Canada, can go up to 350 kilowatts of power. That's 7 times faster than the BC Hydro ones, or 150 kilowatts, which my car takes. Not every car can manage that high speed, so when you're buying a car, check to see how much power it can accept. So some cars can take up to 270 kilowatts. The new Ioniq 5 can take up to 270 kilowatts or more. My car, the Audi e-tron, can do 150. A lot of the Teslas can do up to 275, and that reduces your charging time. But the thing is, a lot of people don't realize this, is that charging a car on a long trip can actually be, and for me, it's actually more convenient than going to a gas station where it may take only 3 or 5 minutes. What you do is you plan around the stops you want to make. I don't know about you, but I got to stop to pee every 200 or 250 kilometers. So I choose a place where there's a charger and park, or get a sandwich or a coffee, and I'll plug in there, do what I need to do, and most of the time my car is fully charged before I'm even ready. My sandwich is only half eaten. So I don't have to, finish my sandwich, go to the bathroom or whatever I have to do, and then go to a gas station on top of that. I'm already ready to go. When you plug in, you can walk away from your car. When you're at a gas station, you got to wait around for the car to be full. And if you have a big gas tank, it takes you 5 minutes or more. When you think about it, most of the time when you're on a holiday and you're going on a long trip, a lot of hotels now are offering free charging to you. And they're building in more and more chargers all the time. And when you look at PlugShare and you go to the destination that you want to go, you just see all the different chargers and look for the one that's at a hotel. So that's the one you would stay at, and that's what I did when I went across the country. So really, having an EV is actually more convenient. And the best part is you're helping the environment because you're not giving out, you're not giving away, you're not polluting the environment. You're saving a fortune in fuel. I mean, it's a fraction of the cost. It's more convenient because when you plug in, you don't have to go to the gas register. It just takes it off when you sign up for the app, and that's what I recommend for all of them. So sign up for the app, and then it's just even easier to charge. And then you have less repairs. There's no oil to change, no transmission fluid to change, no rad fluid to change, no catalytic converter to be stolen, and no, there's just way less parts, 80% less parts, so there's way less to go wrong. So that's a really big benefit. But the best part that I like, and I'm sure a lot of people do, is the drive. It's amazing. Ask any EV driver how quick they are, how powerful they are, how much great they handle, how quiet they are, how more comfortable they are. So there's all these great reasons, and I wouldn't hesitate if you're thinking about it. You don't have to think hard. Long distance trips are not a reason not to buy one. So thank you very much for listening. Any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So I just got a new, pretty powerful
Come over
EV.
here. Come over here.
Oh, okay.
What's your name?
I'm Billy.
Billy.
Lockman. So here's a good question. So people like me who have, an EV now, and we haven't done any long trips yet. I mean, I'm signed up. I don't know, is it Charge Point or I have the BC Hydro.
Right.
But there are all these different companies, like you said, there's Flow, there's Electrify America, or there's different ones. So I'm not signed up on those. So what do I do if I'm traveling down south, to California or something, and I stop somewhere?
Like for example, Eevee Go, for example, is a very popular one, and Electrify America is really popular.
Yeah.
And then there's Charge Point as well. Before I left on my trip, I looked at all the charging spots that I went, and I signed up for every one of them. And there's no cost to sign up. I mean, sometimes they want to charge you a $10 fee to put in their bank, in your bank, okay? And as soon as you're empty, it'll charge your credit card to add more. And some of them just charge you directly, like Petro-Canada, for example. But you know, if you are going on a trip and you want to plan it, I would highly recommend getting all the apps on your phone, and you can even sign up for little credit cards to tap. But you don't need the physical card. It's all on your phone.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? What's your name?
I'm Maureen, and we've had an electric car for about 8 years now. We had dreamed for a long time of someday, if we were rolling down a hill, we'd say, oh, how nice it is to have our electric car. And so we imagined ourselves having it, but we just never imagined just how nice it would be. As you mentioned, how it's got pickup to beat the band, and it's a lot of fun with a sedan, just leaving the sports cars on a curve and never seeing them again. But to me, the way you feel at the end of a trip, a lot more refreshed. I just didn't realize that the noise of the engine and the vibration of the engine was contributing. When there's nothing but road noise there, the trip is simply more relaxing and more enjoyable.
That's a great comment. Thank you very much. And I totally agree with that. The electric vehicles are much quieter. A lot of them, like the Audi, comes with special glass to eliminate road noise and wind noise. It's, you know, when you have a nice sound system, the sound is just that much more pleasurable. And, you know, when you're talking to people in the car, you don't have to scream. It's like sitting in your living room. That's how nice it is. Does anybody else have any other comments or questions?
All right, thanks so much, Harvey. That was really great, super informative, and yeah, let's get rid of range anxiety. We are there. There's enough chargers, there's enough know-how, and thanks again, Harvey and
Thank you
Buddy.
very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.